Hey everybody, it's Andrew Martin coming to you from surprisingly sunny Seattle. I don't believe what anybody tells you. It's not always gray and rainy here in Seattle, but it's January 4th, and I have to say that I'm surprised to see it as sunny as it is today. I'm certainly not complaining, but it is a little uncommon for us to have the sun that we have today, and it's gorgeous. Anyway, I'm doing this video with the intention of answering some questions that I've been getting via my website, andrewmartinartist.com. And there have been, it seems like a general thread or a general theme to all the questions. So what I've done is I've written down like 5 or 6 questions that seem to answer the majority of what people have been asking me. And it's my intention just to kind of shed some light on who I am, my experience, what it is that I offer, maybe some further explanation behind what it is that I do, and to just bring a little more clarity to myself and what I can do for people. You can also go to my website. There is a link on the page, the Contact Me page, that you can send me an email directly. So if I don't answer all of your questions, or if you still have questions that you're curious about and want to know more about, I'm happy to answer any questions that come to me, as long as they're questions that seem to come from the heart, that have a genuine interest in finding out more about me and what I can do and how I can help people. We all, I think, know that the internet is kind of a lawless Wild West, and people can get a little bit crazy and out of hand. So, if I feel that a question isn't appropriate, or if I just feel like it's, not coming from an honest, genuine place of wanting to know, then I just won't answer. But I do have some questions that people seem to want to know in general, so that's what I'm trying to do, is to answer those questions for you. So, let's just dive into it. One of the ones that I've gotten pretty consistently has been, how long have I been able to channel? And that's a really good question. I would say the short answer is consciously, since I would say November 17th-ish of last year, 2013. If you go to my website, the homepage, there's a link to this blog post titled Channel Changed, which really, I think, explains kind of my whole experience with this seemingly spontaneous event that occurred, which I guess you could call my spiritual awakening. I'm not one to use a lot of spiritual terms or lingo. I don't necessarily think that you have to call things certain things, or that there's a right way or wrong way to do things. So I try to speak in terms and in language that is very everyday and very normal. So I don't, I also want to say that I don't think that I'm necessarily any special, more special than anybody else, or any different than anybody else. I honestly believe that we all have these abilities, and that we just really haven't tapped into them yet. I think that, they've sort of been deactivated is a good way to think of it. But I don't think that we necessarily have to wait for, the clouds to part and the burning bush or the voice of God to come booming down from the heavens. Not to say that that doesn't happen, or not to say that that's not a valid experience. And my personal experience was definitely one that was very unusual for me anyway, and very surprising. But I don't necessarily think that we have to wait for this sign from above, or wait for an experience to happen to tap into these abilities. There's actually a really good book that I've been reading, Opening to Channel. I got it on Amazon. I am not getting kickbacks from the author or from anyone involved with this book. It's just been one that was recommended to me by a good friend of mine, Savon Champel. And it has definitely helped me. And it really, I think, explains the process of connecting with higher intelligence, infinite intelligence, divine intelligence, God, whatever you want to call it. And I think we all have that ability. It's just we've forgotten how, or we've never been taught how. That's the short answer, is that consciously for a couple of months. Although now, looking back upon my experience, it's pretty clear to me that I've had my guides and my angels watching over me pretty much my whole life. I can now look back and connect the dots and think, oh wow, that really makes sense. Now I understand why I've had these feelings or these ideas or these thoughts. But I think honestly, channeling is something that I think in a lot of ways gets elevated to this status of this supernatural or paranormal. And while I think it is unusual, I think it's a lot more common than we really realize. I think that musicians, artists, people that really connect with their inspiration or their muse, or find themselves inspired. I think we all have the ability to connect to the information that's out there. We are all connected. I believe that we are all divine creators in our own right. And so I don't think that it's necessarily anything that you can or can't do on your own, as long as you have the intention to do so and the desire. Then I think that you will be able to do it. I do also want to say that everyone's experience is going to be different. So if it's something that you're interested in doing, let your experience be your own, and let your experience unfold. And also be very patient. I have been meditating daily, at least once a day, sometimes twice a day, sometimes more, for consistently for the past 2 years. And then I would say for the past maybe 10 or 15 years, it's been sort of this off and on thing. But the work that I've done on myself over the past year and a half, especially, I think is really what opened up those channels for me to connect with my higher self, and with the group that I channel. So that's how long I've been doing it consciously. And it really is an ongoing process. It continues to evolve. My experience is different almost every time that I do it. What I'm able to do for people and the kind of information that I'm able to transmit and bring in gets more detailed, more exciting, more unusual, I guess is a good way to say it, every time I do it. So it's still a work in progress. I am a work in progress. I think we all are a work in progress. And I think as this world continues to wake up to the fact that we are all divine, that we are all sovereign beings, that none of us have to wait for some sort of external source to come and save us, that we truly are the ones we've been waiting for. That as humanity continues to wake up, I think we're going to see these kinds of abilities and these kind of events happen more and more frequently, and I think ultimately it's going to end up being one of those things that it's going to be something that kind of everyone can do, really. So that's how long I've been doing it, and how long I've been able to do it consciously and purposefully, and been able to connect, kind of on my own. So. Next question was, what are activated paintings? That's a really good question. I think really the easiest way to explain it is they are my artwork. The paintings that I do contain a specific frequency or a specific energy signature that is specific to the person that buys the painting or the person that commissions the painting. Really, if you think about it, everything is energy, everything is vibration. Color, light, sound, it's all vibration. We've from a scientific point of view, scientists have discovered that everything really is light. Even these things that we perceive as being solid, as being pieces of furniture or a house or a building or a car, it's really just light that has gained enough mass to create the perception of being solid. So everything's energy, and in my paintings I just am able to put a certain frequency into them, that can be something that's soothing, something that's calming, something that's invigorating, exciting, healing, something that makes you feel protected or makes you feel at ease or makes you feel at home. I think that we all have those experiences, when you look at a painting or you hear a certain song or you smell a certain scent or you see a certain color, and you may feel really soothed, or you may feel really happy or inspired or excited, or maybe it just makes you feel really odd or really strange. Those are vibrations. That's energy. And all I do is I take those energies and I put them into the paintings. When I started painting, just to back up, my whole life I've been some sort of creative. I've had some sort of creative endeavor. Both of my parents were musicians. I took a lot of music classes when I was a kid, music lessons. I always painted when I was a kid, was always doing something creative. And then I was a makeup artist for 15 years. And then a couple of years ago, I left makeup behind and really found myself not having a creative outlet. So last year, June of 2013, or May, somewhere around there, I just decided one day, you know what, I'm going to start painting again because I don't have a creative outlet right now, and I just really was missing it. So I just started painting. And I by no means thought that when I started painting that I was going to be doing it, channeling these activated paintings, or, taking, these messages from above and putting them in painting form. I was just painting. I was just doing something that I liked to do, and that was a fun hobby for me. And I had zero expectations. I just wanted to do it for fun. And then it started taking on a life of its own. And then it was revealed to me through my guides and through another reading that I had had from another channel, that I was able to put activations into my paintings. It's not anything, I think it sounds more impressive than it really is. Basically, I just take a certain kind of energy signature or energy frequency, and I'm able to put it into the painting. So it's as simple as, if someone wants something that makes them feel happy and makes them feel uplifted, then that's my intention when I create the painting, is to put an energy in there that feels happy and uplifting. Whatever the energy is that a person asks or feels like they need in a painting, that's what I put in there. So that's what activated paintings are. I went back and forth when I was putting together my website. I toyed with the idea of, should I even say activated paintings, because what does that even mean? And it sounds kind of weird, and I don't even know if people are going to understand it. And frankly, I didn't really understand it either, until I started doing it more, and then it became clear to me. So they're just paintings that make you feel a certain way, that have a certain energy to them. I think that's the easiest way to explain it. So you call yourself an intuitive healer. Explain what that means. That's another good question. What that means is that I have a lot of different ways that I can help people. Overall, my intention is to help people rediscover their divine nature that I believe we all have within us. There's a divine spark that we all carry. We all have our own set of skills and abilities that are unique to who we are. And we all have a purpose for being here on this planet, and a way that I believe that we can help uplift the collective vibration. And my intent and my hope is that I can help people tune into that. So with some people, they just need someone to listen to them, and maybe help guide them down a certain path. Some people need actual intuitive healing, where I can go into someone's aura, I can go into someone's energy field, I can connect with their guides or with their angels or their higher selves, and kind of get an idea of what it is that they need at this point in their life. Some people need, excuse me, some people need, well, I would say everybody needs something different. So I always approach any healing or any session with someone from the point of view of, just let me provide what this person needs at this point in their life for their highest good, and their greatest good, in alignment with their divine plan. And that's all I ask to do. And then at that point, I'm just kind of guided to know what to do, what this person might need. And it varies from person to person. So it just kind of depends. And, again, I want to state, or I should state, that, free will is I think the overarching law of this world and this universe. I would never try to do anything for anyone that they did not want me to do. I would never, and never would, do anything if someone came to me and said, oh, well, I want you to do this on someone else. Never without their permission, never without their asking me to do so, never without their intention to receive the energy or the healing or the information that I have, would I do that, and I don't do that. So I always work in line with someone and their personal intention, and then their higher guides and their angels, to kind of know what they need at that point. So everyone needs something different, and it will change. Just like our tastes in our lives change, and our desires change, so do our needs. So that's what intuitive healer means. Am I religious? The short answer is no. I was raised in a family. We went to church, not every Sunday, but most Sundays we went to church. I was baptized in the Methodist church. My parents sang in the choir. My mother directed the choir. I sang at church. I went to Sunday school. All of that. I went to Bible study, but I was never religious, and I am not religious. I don't look down on religion. I don't judge anyone for choosing to align themselves with a certain religion. Kind of my theme in life is that there are infinite number of ways to get to the top of the mountain, and all paths lead to the top of the mountain. So whether you are religious, whether you call yourself spiritual, whether you practice yoga, whether you go on a religious retreat or a spiritual retreat, whether you decide to devote your life to God as a monk or as a nun, I respect all of those choices, and I would never tell anyone that they were right or they were wrong. But I personally just don't resonate with any one religion. So, no, I am not religious. But I have gone to church. My family is still religious to an extent. And yeah, I find great peace and great comfort in, certain religious ceremonies. It's kind of nice to come together, I think, as a community and, sing the praises of, God or Jesus or whoever it is that is your ascended master of choice. So yeah, no, I'm not religious, but I certainly don't judge it. And then the last question is, who are the lighted ones? Um, the short answer is I don't entirely know in terms of the details. I do know that they are a collective group of souls from, many different areas and many different realms, and they are all coming together as a group and as a council. There's 12-ish of them, sometimes a few more, sometimes less. They all speak as one voice. When I channel them, and this sort of leads into the next question of what is channeling like. So I'll try to answer both of those questions kind of as one. The lighted ones, that's just what they call themselves. And a couple of people did write to me saying that the lighted ones sounded like they were saying they were better or that they were more advanced. I wouldn't, and I understand that, but that is not the impression that I ever get from them. They call themselves the lighted ones because they have chosen to go upon the spiritual journey. And speaking of themselves as the lighted ones, in my mind, just means that they have chosen to live in service of the light, which to me, light, love, God, creator, source, it's all the same thing. It's all comes from the same place. And it's all loving, it's all supportive, it's all compassionate, and it's all for the greater good of everyone. So the lighted ones are a group of souls who speak to me to deliver messages of peace, hope, joy, and transformation. They really are all about self-empowerment. They really are all about everybody has this divine spark within them, and it's all about us coming into alignment with our higher abilities, with our higher selves, and living a life in service of the light, doing the best that we can to be the best person in every moment that we know how to be. They're really about self-empowerment and finding your own path to the light. And that's kind of what I do, is to help people find their own path. The work that I've done on myself internally from a spiritual perspective has really been an ongoing, lifelong process with a few breaks here and there. I've definitely had moments in my life where I've just said, ugh, enough with this, and I've walked away, but I've always come back to this place of, how can I help other people find the strength and the power within them that I know we all have, so that they can take control of their lives and create the life that they dream of for themselves. So that's who the lighted ones are. And then in terms of what is channeling like, it's an ongoing, evolving process. My first experience was very surprising. It was a little strange. My rational mind was really kind of freaked out during the whole process, but I never once felt like I was out of control. I never once felt like I was being taken over by an entity or a being. I never once felt like I couldn't, stop it if I wanted to. It always felt very loving and very safe. And it felt like the clearest way that I can describe it is it's almost like when I'm typing a message that's coming through, or when I'm speaking a message that's coming through, it's almost like I'm listening to a radio in another room, or a television show in another room, and I'm trying to relay to someone who's sitting next to me or sitting across from me what it is that the show is that I'm hearing. That's the best way that I can describe it, but it's kind of a difficult thing to describe because it's almost like, asking someone, how do you know when you're awake? Well, you just kind of know that you're awake. And when I'm channeling, I I am what you would call, or what the spiritual community at large would call, a conscious channel, which means that the messages come through as sort of an impulse or an idea or a thought or an inspiration, and I, through my words, through spoken word or through written word, typed word, I am translating those messages to the best of my ability. It's an interesting thing, and this book, the Opening to Channel book, really talks about this, and that channels and higher guides or spirit guides or angels, whatever you want to call them, they really do choose each other because of a compatibility. There really is a relationship that is developed between a channel and their guides, and it's actually a really interesting, very rewarding, and very comforting feeling to know that it's kind of your direct link to infinite intelligence, and it's a source of comfort and a sense of comfort to me. And so it's an ongoing process. When it first started, the first message that I typed, which on my blog is the posting entitled "Greetings." When I was first typing it, and I speak to this a little bit in the introduction. I took piano lessons for about 13 years when I was a kid, and so because of that, I type really, really quickly, and I almost have no mistakes when I'm typing. But while I was typing this first message, it was really clunky, and it took me forever to type, and there were tons of mistakes and tons of typos when I was typing this first message. And it has since then gotten to be a lot easier and a lot more fluid, and the messages flow through a lot easier now. But it's also really, the practice that I put into it, I think, is what allows it to be better and clearer and easier every time. It's sort of like translating a message, like someone speaking to me in a different language, and I'm translating it into another language for people to understand. It's going to be unique to the person who's doing the translating, their personality, their beliefs, their experiences, their life, their knowledge. I think is always going to color the message that comes through. So it's always my intention, and I always state before I channel a message, please let me be the clearest channel that I can be. And in my practice of, continuing to connect with my guides and with Source, I always say, please show me whatever it is that I can do to be the clearest channel that I can be. It's like anything else, painters, singers, musicians, writers, the more they practice, the more they do it, the easier it becomes, and the more dynamic and more powerful their work becomes. And I feel it's the same way. The messages that I deliver, are only ever improved and helped by the work that I put into it on my own time. So, my own meditation and my own journaling, and by reading, the Opening to Channel books, working with other people, connecting with other people who do the same work on Facebook, or listening to other messages that come through on YouTube. It also helps me to raise my level of ability. The one thing that I will say, kind of as a general statement, I'm very, very seldom do I say the words always and never, because I think that everyone's experience is unique to them, and that they should honor their own unique experience. So if anyone is ever out there saying you must do it this way or it has to be this way, I tend to kind of back off from people who make those statements, because I don't think that anyone is right or anyone is wrong inherently. I think the right way for you is the way that feels right for you. And so my point is that your ability to discern what feels true to you is the most valuable thing that you can do for yourself on any kind of journey, but especially a spiritual journey, because there are a lot of people out there who may try to give disinformation, or may be connected to a source that isn't maybe necessarily the most credible source of information. And so use your power of discernment. If it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't feel true, if it doesn't feel like an honest, genuine expression for you, then it probably is not. And I do that all the time. If I'm, reading something that someone has written, or listening to something that someone has said, either a channeled message or their own spiritual teaching, if it doesn't feel right or true to me, then I just stop reading and I just stop listening. I think that the most important thing we can do, again, is to know that we all have this connection inside of us, and we will all know what feels in alignment with ourselves, and what feels right for us. So I think that's it. So yeah, that's it. This is the first of what I hope will be many videos. I'm, intending to try to do at least one or two messages every week. And I invite you to check out my website for my written channelings and written messages. It's a combination of my own spiritual ideas and then also messages that I channel from the Lighted Ones. And you can also connect with my Facebook page, which is Andrew Martin Art, or the Lighted Ones. You can also go to my website. There's all sorts of ways you can connect with me and hear about what I'm doing. And then I'm also gonna start a YouTube channel with this video as well. So thank you so much for reading and listening and writing in your questions. And I invite you to follow my journey, to ask any questions that you have, to contact me if you feel there's anything that I can do for you. And yeah, it's an exciting time to be alive, and I can't wait to see what's next. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.